Insperity presents the Small Business Advocate Show with Jim Blasingame. This is a copyrighted production of Small Business Network, Inc., all rights reserved.
Welcome back. It's 7 till the hour. Thank you very much for joining me. Thanks for staying with me. Always a pleasure to continue to be with you. I'm Jim Blasingame, and I am the Small Business Advocate. And my websites are smallbusinessadvocate.com, and the one for my book, The Age of the Customer, is ageofthecustomer.com. We have a great visit with our good friend Gerald Celente, the author of Trends 2000, the publisher of TrendsJournal. That's TrendsJournal.com, a quarterly, monthly publication, as well as a video series, right? You have a daily video program. Is that right, Gerald?
Yes. Yep, a webcast. Yep.
And they can find that on TrendsJournal.com, right?
Yes, they can.
I'll check that out. Gerald, you've been pretty shocking with your forecasting for how things are going around the globe in the last couple of segments. You've kind of, you kind of sobered us up a little bit. But I'd like to ask you to bring your global perspectives down to Main Street America right now, and tell us what you think is small business owners out here on Main Street, planted in the ground out here on Main Street, what we've got to look forward to, let's say in the next year, 1 to 5 years.
Well, it's going to continue to be a challenge because of Wall Street being so disconnected from Main Street. You look at the merger and acquisition activity this year, it's back to 2007 levels, over $3 trillion worldwide. And so Main Street's going to have it's a tough competition. So the objective is to find those market gaps, because the big guys are only doing, they're losing a lot of opportunity. One of the areas we're writing a lot about it. It's called Agequake. We're an aging society, and this is and businesses aren't really prepared.
We're an aging globe.
An aging globe, exactly. And us baby boomers aren't babies anymore. Long way from it. But there are so many products and services that are identifiable to an aging population that are not being taken advantage of right now. As a matter of fact, if you go to our site, they can even click on it if they go to the conference page. We did an interview with June and Stanley Blum. They're 95 years old. Stanley just wrote his fourth book. He does art and poetry. He began painting at 80 years old. And what this is about is that all of the opportunity, because, when you do get older, if you've been alive and you've been trying to, grow, you do get wiser. So you know a lot more than you did before, and now you can put that into practice in a lot of different ways. So what we're doing is we're looking at the opportunities to Main Street, that Wall Street, that the corporations aren't what they used to be. They're hedge funds, they're private equity groups, they're venture capitalists. These aren't corporations in the sense that we knew before. So because they're so bottom line oriented, they're missing the mainstream opportunities and the Main Street opportunities.
And there's one thing that is consistent with the groups that you just identified. When they make money, they rarely add value to the economy.
Oh, well, of course not. All they're doing with it is here. You look at the major stories. Rich hoard cash as their wealth reaches record high.
So, what should small business owners? Is there anything we can do? We just have to keep taking this like it is. What can we do?
Well, what we're doing, we want to change the whole direction. And on May 2nd, 2015, we're launching from Colonial Kingston, New York, OccupyPeace.us. And it's based on 3 words. And we're here with the Founding Fathers, so the roots for democracy. No foreign entanglements. Bring home the troops. Close down the borders and rebuild America.
You're talking about isolationism, though.
No, I'm talking about non-interventionism. That Washington in his farewell address, that Franklin, that Jefferson, that Adams and Madison and all our founding fathers.
How about Eisenhower?
Eisenhower, you got it. So that's what we're doing. So that to us is the answer, is to rebuild America and to bring our money back here rather than fighting in wars and foreign entanglements, that are only costing us in lives, money, and a future. And that's how we do it. We start concentrating on taking the power away from the very few who are destroying this country.
Yeah.
They like to call them Democrats and Republicans. I prefer Bloods and Crips.
Hey, Gerald, I got to wrap it up, but it's been great listening to you. Thank you for your sobering vision and forecasting. Folks, I want you to be sure to check out TrendsJournal.com. I promise you, you'll get smarter when you do. Even if you don't agree with everything that Gerald says, you'll like seeing what he and his writers have to say, and there's several of them there. Gerald, thank you for being here. Thank you for all the great years of service.
Hey, happy anniversary.
Thanks, Gerald. Gerald Celente, ladies and gentlemen. I told you we'd get smarter and more sober when Gerald Celente joined us. I got to go for this hour. I'm Jim Blasingame. I'll see you later. Welcome back to 17 Till. I'm Jim Blasingame. Thank you very much for hanging out with me. We're celebrating our 17th anniversary week of the Small Business Advocate Show, our broadcast, and we're doing it with our Brain Trust members who've been with us from the beginning, like our good friend Gerald Celente, who's here right now. Gerald is the author of Trends 2000, which, as I said, is now in 2014 not so much a trends book, but a prophecy book, and he's his trends tracker. His TrendsJournal, I should say, is a quarterly publication that I don't want to do without, and I encourage you not to either. Gerald, thanks again for hanging out with us. Give us your website, please.
TrendsJournal.com, TrendsJournal.com, and Jim, we also have a Trends Monthly.
Oh, yeah.
Well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. You guys have made some changes over there, and
a lot of changes.
Good for you. Good for you. You know, my own publication is 15 years old this week as well, Gerald. We haven't missed an edition, a weekly edition, in 15 years. And so that's the Small Business Advocate newsletter, folks, which you can subscribe to at our website, smallbusinessadvocate.com. Gerald, one of the things we were talking about earlier was some of the global issues. As you know, from a global trade standpoint, once silk and spices were the big commodities, then cotton became a big commodity, and then others have became driving commodities that were fungible throughout the global economy. Today, that's oil, isn't it? Talk to us about where you think oil is.
Well, when you look at where the oil prices have gone, I mean, another thing that we do as part of the subscription is we do a weekday show each evening called Trends in the News. Mm-hmm. And every day I talk about oil prices, gold prices, and the markets, et cetera, among other things. And oil prices peaked in June at $115 a barrel, Brent crude. As we speak, Brent is now trading at $79 a barrel. This is telling a big story. And the story is, yes, there is more supply out there with all the hydrofracking and other countries producing more oil, but the reality is demand is way off. Mm-hmm. And you were talking before about, how countries depend upon it, Russia being one of them. Mm-hmm. 45% of Russia's GDP is energy-related. Mm-hmm. And then you look around the world, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar, Venezuela. Just keep piling the countries on, one after another.
Mexico, Canada.
You got it.
Yep.
And if these prices, they need, from my talking to people that are really in the business, they need around $100 a barrel, a lot of these countries, to stay, and the producers, the people in the field, the people doing the other kind of work around oil, they need around $100 a barrel, not only for their GDPs to sustain their economies, but also for the ancillary industries that support them. Mm-hmm. So we're looking, this slowdown in oil prices it's dramatic. It's real. And it's really the canary in the mine cage of the economy that's screaming out that there is no growth here.
Do you think this is that the price of oil is going to exacerbate a trend towards deflation?
This whole thing about
deflation. Are you worried about deflation?
Too. Not at all. And this to me is, I've been around, as you mentioned, I've been doing this since 1980. I never heard that. You know what their line is with the deflation? It's based on this theory that if people know that that prices aren't going up, they're not going to buy things.
Right.
But if they know that prices are going to go up, they're going to run out and go buy more. I mean, who made this up? I mean, if you got dough, you spend it. If you don't, you don't. And when you look at the economy,
well, but there have been examples of both of those things. In the 40s, Europe had deflation; and it was horrible. In the 70s, we had rampant inflation, and I remember how people behaved with real estate and other things back in those days, borrowing money and that sort of thing. So I mean, I think there's something to the economic motivations of both of those. But my question is, you don't think that deflation is a concern? Do you think inflation is a concern?
No. My concern is the devaluation of currencies.
Right.
And that's what
some people are predicting. I've seen other people predicting that the dollar's going to be hurt over the next near period.
Well, again, that's the issue. It's not a supply and demand issue. Is the currency going to be worth anything? And there's going to be a point, but again, when you look, what are the alternative currencies? Mm-hmm. It's certainly not the euro. It's certainly not the Chinese yuan. Look, China has done everything that they can to do stupid things. When you look at their debt to GDP ratio, it's off the charts. When you're looking at, again, depending on whose numbers you're looking at, they have real problems. By the way,
what is that? What are the implications? Tell us what, in the minute we got left, what are the implications for the rest of us based on the things that you're seeing that we're talking about?
Low standard of living. That's the bottom line. We're all going to make less, and we're going to get paid less. And so this is unlike the 70s.
Main Street America is already seeing that.
And it's going to get worse. Look, here's the numbers. I'm not making this up. 35 people have as much money as half the world's population, 3.5 billion.
You mean, okay. I'm going to get you to explain that when we come back after these messages. And I'm going to ask Gerald what his forecast is for small businesses. We'll come back after these messages. TrendsJournal.com is his website. Check it out. Quick break. Stay with me.
Jim Blasingame. He's the cyber king of small business. Search Google for small business expert, and he's tops on the list.
I guess that makes you number one.
He's number one on Google and number one in our hearts. He's Jim Blasingame, the small business advocate.
Well, welcome back, 34 after the hour. Thank you very much for joining us. Thanks for being part of my day. Always a pleasure to continue to be with you. And we're celebrating our 17th anniversary, continuing to celebrate that week, the 17th anniversary week, as we move through the show this week. And we thank you for all the great years, and we especially thank our good friend Gerald Celente for joining us again. He was an original founding member of our Brain Trust. He's a 1998 model, May 1998 when he first joined us. And he is the author of the Trends 2000, and which was a great book in that year, in 1999, 98, 98, I guess, when we first met him. But it's become a book of prophecy, folks, and it's amazing what he's capable of seeing. His Trend Journal has been around for 22 or 3 years. He's been doing this for 35 years, probably. And he's been helping, sharing his wisdom and his foresight with us for over 16 years. He's our good friend, Gerald Celente. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, happy anniversary. Thanks for having me, Jim.
Thank you, Gerald. I appreciate it very much. Gerald, I want you to start out by giving us your perspectives from a global standpoint. Let's start out globally, and then we'll start narrowing things down a little bit as we move through our visit.